Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video we'll be talking about list comprehension in Python. And before I continue, I want to thank every one of you that is liking my video and subscribing to my video. God bless you, and I want to say that I appreciate and I love you. Please don't stop, keep liking, keep commenting and keep sharing my video. God bless you. You are helping me to grow, and you are helping somebody out there to learn and also grow. Alright, so what are we discussing today? Today we'll be discussing about list comprehension. List comprehension is a concise way to create lists in Python. If you have not gone through my video on list data structure, you can check the description below, or you can see it at the top here, and then you can watch the video on Python list data structure. Now, when we talk about this comprehension, it contains a list comprehension consists of a square bracket containing expression followed by a for loop statement or more if or for loop clauses. So you can put in all kinds of objects in a list. So what is the syntax? If you want to create a syntax for a list, for example, a list comprehension, for example, the syntax is like this. So we have, so the first one is the expression, okay, then the for loop, and then the item, okay, the item in a list, and then the if clause or for loop if we want to still add. So we can say if condition. Okay, so this is how the list comprehension expression is. So the first is the expression, okay, and then the item we are looping over or checking in a list, and then the condition we are going to dictate or spell out whenever that operation is taking place. So take for example, we want to create a square. So let's create a square of 4 numbers. Okay, we're going to create a square of numbers that is from 0 to 9. So let's do it. So here we are going to do, I'll just do sq and I'll say equal to, okay, then in square bracket. Now inside the square bracket I have to specify the expression. So this x is the variable, then I'm going to loop through all the I, so this is x, so we're saying x exponential 2 for x in, so we have a range function, okay, and then we specify the number that we're looking for. So we say from 0 to 9, so we specify 10. All right, and then let's print our sq. You can see that we now have a square of, so they start from 0, index 0, so 2, we have 1 here, 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 4 is 16, 5 times 5 is 25, 6 times 6 is 36. So this is how the square bracket. So instead of us to write a for loop that will carry this expression, by just this single line expression we have been able to perform creating a list of squares for numbers that is between 0 to 9. Okay, then we can also a new list. Okay, so if we create a new list, we can also look through to add whatever we are getting to a new list. So this is what I'm saying. So here I'm now going to create a new list. I'll call this, let me just call it v. Please pardon my variable. So I'll say v, then a square bracket, and inside the square bracket I'm going to have 1 to 10. So I'll say 1. I'm going to now get the square of each of these values. So you can see that here I use the range function. Here I'm no longer using the range function, I'm specifying the number. So I'm going to replace the range function with this loop. So I'll say square, okay, let me call it square, and then I'll say equal to, then I'll repeat the same thing. So this time let me just use I instead of F, exponential 2. Okay, then I'll say for I in our V, for I in V, then Y, and then I run it. So you can see what we are having. So start by looking at this. Okay, so 1 multiplied by itself will give you 1, 2 times 2 will give you 4, 3 times 3 9, 4 times 4 will give you 16, 5 times 5 25, and so on. So this is how exponential works with list expression. Alright, so if we are going to be doing this, we have to create a for loop and then loop through the entire list, okay, and then multiplying them. But then with list expression we can do that. Now we can also filter odd numbers from this number. Okay, as you can see, there are odd numbers and even number here, so we can still filter them out. Okay, so how do we do that? We can add a clause, like I said. So we can add an if clause like this. So if I is divisible by 2, okay, say if I is divisible by 2 and then is equal to 0, okay, so we should be able to print square. So let's print now. Okay, so you can see that it's returning, these are even number for us. Okay, so this is even number. List expression works in Python. Now let's move further. We can also use a list expression with strings and with strings value. Okay, we can use it with strings as well. And then let's say we have a list of fruits, for example. So I'll have a variable that says fruits. Okay, and then I'll say equal to a square bracket. Now inside the square bracket I'm going to have different fruits. So here I'll say apple. In case this is strange to you, you can check my video on list data structure. So apple. So now we have a list of fruits. Now what we want to do is we want to be able to look through each of the word and check for letters. How do we do that? We can do that using list expression. So we are looking for letter E, any of this one that starts with E. Okay, so I can do E underscore word, okay, as a variable name. Alright, then I can now say that I can say I or whatever. So you remember I said it's variable, so I can say word or anything. So I can say word for word. I'm going to add another clause, and we are saying that if the word start with, okay, dot start with, okay, if it starts with E, okay, so it takes a parameter. The parameter is the word we are looking for. So I'll say if it starts with E, it should be able to print the letter for us. So let's print our so we say print, and then we specify the E underscore word, and let's print it. So to come here, we say Python demo.py, Python demo.py. Okay, so you can see that there is no word, that's why it's returning empty list for us. Now let's look for the one that start with A, for example. So let's change this E to one that start with A, and we replace this with A, and we run the code again. So you can see that it's returning apple for us. Then let's look for, we have mango, we have date, we have grape. What other fruit can we do? Let me just add aloe vera, for example. Just aloe vera is not a fruit, but because I want to demo, so I'll just use aloe vera. Am I correct? Anyway, aloe vera. Am I correct? Okay, so let's leave it like this. So I'm going to check for letters that start with A. So you can see that the first time is to return apple. So if I run it for the second time, you should be able to see that we have more than just one. So you can see that we now recognize that we have another word that starts with what? With A. Alright, so this is how list expression comprehension works. Okay, this is how list comprehension works in Python. Now we can go further by creating a new list that contains the length of each of these words. Okay, so we have apple, aloe vera, mango, cherry, date, grapes. Okay, we can go further to check for each of the length of the word. Okay, so how do we do that? We can achieve that using list expression. So all we do is let me have a variable. I'll say L underscore length, or then what do I do? Okay, let me just call it W underscore length. Okay, and then I'll say equal to, okay, then the square bracket, and then inside the square bracket I'm going to call the len method, and then I'm going to pass in word, okay, or whatever variable I want to work with, but let's go with word. Okay, and then I'll now say for word. Okay, for word in what? In fruits. Okay, so once I do this, I now begin to, let's print our W length. Let's say W length. Let's print it. Okay, so you can see what it returned for me. So the first one is apple, 5 letters. The second one is aloe vera. Why is it 13? Oh, comma, there's no comma, so I'll add comma, and then I'll run again. Okay, so the first one is 5 apple, aloe vera is 8, then mango is 5, and then cherry is 6, date is 4, grape is 5. Alright, so this is how we can use list expression to do all of this. Alright, so this is how simple, this is how awesome, this is how list comprehension makes coding very, very awesome and sweet in Python. Okay, and you can do a whole lot. All you need to understand is the expression. Okay, so this here is your variable. Okay, and then you are using that, so you must have a list. Okay, so this is how your expression will start, and then you have a for loop. Okay, and it can be an if statement depending on what you are checking. So you can use, that's why we said that the list comprehension contains clauses. So you have a for loop, and you have your if for loop, and you can also have another for loop. All right, okay, so we can also have a list inside a list. We call it multi-dimensional list in languages like Java, but in Python, and if you are going into data science, it's called matrix, where you have a list inside a list. Okay, so you can have a list inside a list. Let's say let me call it matrix. Okay, I'll call it matrix, and then I'll say equal to, so I'll say square bracket. Here I'll have 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then I'll have another one again, 1, 2, 3. I'll have another one again. Okay, let's have another one, 1, 2. Or let me make it hierarchical. So this 1, 2, 3. So here I'm going to make it 4, 5, 6. So let's make it 4, 5, 6. Then here will be 7, 8, 9. Okay. Okay, let's just stop here. Okay, now I want to this is a double list. So if I print it, let's print the matrix and see how it comes out. Okay, we print the matrix. Okay, we print the matrix and we run it. Okay, so you can see that it's returning a list inside a list for us. So let's flatten it. Let's flatten it and make it a single list, all of them in a single list. So by removing the square bracket and making it a single list, how do we do that? We can do something like this. So I'll have this a variable, I'll say single underscore list, then I'll say equal to, then I'm now going to use a list expression. So I'll say num. Okay, I'll say num, then for number of rows. Okay, for number of rows, and then I want to see, so in for number of rows in what, in our matrix. Okay, I want you to look through them. So I'll now look through them. So look through them. Okay, in each of the rows. So look each of those rows, because if we break them down like this, so if we have like this, and we have like this, and we have like this. Okay, so this is it. Okay, this is how matrix look like. All right, so if we now say we want to look through them, so what we are now saying here is we are now saying num for row in matrix, and then for num in what, in row. So say in row. Okay, now let's print our single list. So when we print our single list, print single list. Okay, and what do we have? So you can see that all of them have now become a single list. Okay, so this is how we can flatten a matrix to a single list. Okay, when you are dealing with NumPy, we will talk more about matrix and all of that, but for now understand this, that this is how this works. Okay, this is how to flatten a matrix in using list comprehension. All right, now let me demonstrate the project, because you might be asking, in what situation can we use list comprehension? We can use it to clean email. Okay, when we have email, remember that all that your users are providing are not clean. Okay, email or whatever data you are collecting from your users, they are not always clean, and because they are not always clean, you want to make them clean. Okay, for example, if we have a wrong email addresses like this, okay, so we call it dirty emails. We have John Doe, we have Jane, all of them are in capital letters, some are in small letter, all of them carrying, you can see .co.uk, but see what we are having here. Okay, and then let me see, you can have another email that will say jkkk. Okay, and then you see at here, and then there's a space between the extension. Okay, so you say Yahoo. Okay, sorry, let's call it Yahoo Mail. Okay, Yahoo Mail. All right, .com. Okay, so these are dirty email. Okay, and why are they dirty email? They have white spaces among them. They are not following the same capitalization. Okay, so it's just dirty. Okay, now what we need to do is we are going to clear the white spaces, remove the white spaces, and also make everything small letter. Okay, before we can update. So you can't push such a data like this to database just like that. Okay, you are creating trouble for yourself and your data analyst, and even everyone working on the same project, because all of these are not the same. Okay, so it's going to create issues, and for you to resolve that, you need to clean it. So how do we clean it? Using this comprehension. So let's do it. Okay, so So the first thing is we're going to clean the email. So let's do it. So what we do is we now say clean, okay, clean mail. I just call it clean mail, and then a square bracket. So we're now going to use a list comprehension. We will now say email, a variable, email dot lower, call the lower method, and then we also call the dot strip method. So the dot strip method will remove the white spaces, while the dot lower method will make everything in lower letters, okay, in small letters. All right, so we say dot strip, okay, the dot strip method, and then we'll now loop through them. So we'll now say forward for every email in dirty what, in dirty email. Okay, so what we are saying is make all the emails, remove the white spaces, make them capital small letters in all of the for email in all of the dirty emails. Okay, so let's print them and see. So if we print clean email, for example, let's print the both of themselves. We should say print clean email and then print dirty email. See dirty emails, and then let's run them. Okay, so you can see what is returning to us. Okay, so the first one has already been put, everything is now in small letters. Okay, everything is now in small letter, and while this one still is a dirty email, still maintaining. Okay, so you can see that the white spaces in this one has been removed, the white spaces here has been removed, John Doe has been reduced to small letter, and all of that. All right, so let's move further. Okay, so this is how we can clean an email, okay, by using a list expression. Now let's move further. We can also build a list comprehension that extract high and low temperature. Okay, so like this, we can do something like this. Okay, so let's have a temperature. I'll call it temperature. Okay, temperature, and then equal to, let me call it any number. We can have 20 degree, 40, 30, 23, 12, 45, 60, 100. Okay, and then that's it. Let's stop here for example. Okay, so we now have a temperature that ranges from the lowest to the highest and all of that. So but what we want to do is we want to extract the lowest temperature and extract the highest, and then how do we do that? So for us to do that, we can use list comprehension to achieve this. Okay, so by so doing, what we need to do is we now say max. So let me format this to meet our list comprehension. So say the square bracket open here. Okay, and we say 10. Okay, and then we say 4. Okay, so we now call temp again. Okay, so we are looping through, so we say in temperature. Okay, so let's cover the square bracket like this. So I'm going to repeat the same thing. So for the minimum, like this. Okay, I'll bring it down here. Okay, so this is it. So we now use list comprehension to handle it. Okay, so this will return the minimum and this will return the highest. Okay, so alright, so the minimum is 100 and the highest, the highest is 100 and the minimum is 12. Okay, so now let's now get the average. Okay, let's move further by getting the average. We have implemented it, but we can still move further to also get the average of the weather condition. okay, or the atmospheric conditions, which is temperature now. So we can say average. We can come and say average. Okay, so we say average, which should be equal to, okay, so we call this sum. Okay, so the sum is also a built-in function that calculates everything, that return the sum total of our value here. So it's going to add all of this together, okay, and return the sum for us. 60. Here inside the sum, we're going to pass in our temperature. Okay, we're going to pass in our temperature, and then we're dividing that temperature by the length. Okay, so we call the length method, and we now pass in the temperature inside the length method. Okay, so now let's now print our average. Okay, so we say average. Okay, and then let's run the code, and here we have it. All right, so this is how we can get the highest and the lowest. So the average of our list is 41.4. okay, so the minimum, let's print them again. Minimum, then we print maximum, highest 10, and then minimum 10. Okay, like this. So let's run them again. All right, so the highest is 100, the lowest is 41, and the average of them is what? Is 41.4. okay, so this is how we can use list, we can leverage on list comprehension to create and loop through everything that we have through a list, through an iterable. Okay, so if you like this video, please kindly give it a thumbs up, subscribe and share. That way you are helping me to grow, you are helping everyone in the community to learn and grow. Thank you very much. See you. Bye bye.